Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Jerry Sansing with another edition of South Texas News and Reviews. This is July the 21st, 2019. There are the times that this is aired on either Grande or AT&T or Spectrum, and you can email me at gsansing@gmail.com if you need more information about that. I know it's a little sketchy these days. But also this is available on YouTube. If you go into Jerry with a J, Jerry, Sansing, you can pull up the shows. And I'm going to show you a couple of things before I preview, before I go sit down, and we'll start discussing some of the more important things I think that are going on in this city and in this county and in this state. Be right back with you. Okay, I've been asked why I put a crude picture like this up. It's not crude, folks. That's a great big huge pachyderm who is excreting. And the reason I do this is because I'm sick and tired of the taxpayers of this college district, Del Mar College District, CCISD, county, city, state, and so forth, being held, stuck holding the bag around here as taxpayers. And this is what we get from all the elected officials. That's what we get in this bag most of the time. So I think it's quite appropriate. If you don't, then email me. I've given you the address. Let me know what you think. And I'm not going to change my mind, but I think that totally exemplifies what taxpayers have to go through around here with all these elected officials that are all out for money for themselves and greed. I don't think they have much empathy and do not want to help taxpayers. It's all about making money. Anyway, I'll back that up in a minute. I'll be right back. Here's a sign that was put out up to the 2016 elections for bonds for Del Mar College. And what we were going to do is go for more bond money so we can put a 98-acre South Side Campus Del Mar College facility out there to house it. Started with 20,000 students. Now they're down to 15,000. Now that's 96 acres, or 98 acres, excuse me, of swampland out there. And I think all this was a ploy to bleed you people, you taxpayers, money, and gain some funds for various high rollers around here at your expense. And I'm going to see if I can provide you with some information to back up my statements, but this makes me absolutely heartsick and makes me want to throw up. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I've got my brand on this wonderful yard sign down at the bottom. It says paid for by Sansing et al., and it gives my address and so forth and so on. And I've had problems with various people because I put my address on it. But anyway, that's a different story. But this is my retort, and this is my response to people wanting to have this Del Mar Works and so forth and so on, and go for these enormously large, hundreds of millions of dollars in building and construction that we do not need at Del Mar College. And I'm going to discuss that in just a little bit. But that's my retort to that. And then also, there a $44 million bond by Mr. Trey McCampbell that he was pushing after they shut down and closed down, tore down the Coliseum roof down there, well, the whole Coliseum, and $44 million bond to go down there and build a more shade and so forth. And I've got a real hang-up with that. I will discuss it in just a second. Okay, folks, here was one of my other crusades. It's got my name down there as the perpetrator of this. I paid for a bunch of these signs around town. I was one of 5 people with the Friends of the Coliseum who got sued by the city because we have a fruitcake down there at the time, city attorney by the name of Carlos Valdez. Unfortunately, he's a district judge now. He's elected, and I'll cease comment there. But anyway, and then Mr. Trey McCampbell, who was on the Board of Regents at Del Mar College even at that time, he may have been the president even back that far. But anyway, he decided after they pulled off tearing down that award-winning Coliseum completely, then he wanted $44 million with Destination Bayfront to go down there and skin you fine folks out of a whole bunch of money so he could make a bunch of money for his friends and buddies. And he hadn't ceased that yet. So I'm just going to go ahead and expose all this stuff Makes me furious. My taxes keep going up and they keep getting richer and richer. So I think it's time for you people to rise up with me and let's just say something about it. So here we go. I'll be right back. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like the camera's on, lights are on. I'll go take my spot around here and take a seat, and then we'll see what kind of things we can stir up this evening. I'm Jerry Sansing. I'm with the Corpus Christi Taxpayers Association. I'm the presidency of that. I've got a very fine group of very highly concerned taxpayers there. I've given you the times that this airs. It airs on 2 different channels on Grande. That's Channel 10 and Channel 18 Public Access. You can go in and get the schedules for that. I've given those to you. You can go into YouTube with Jerry with a J. I know it's Gerald with a G, but it's Jerry with a J. That was the trend years ago during the Second World War when people had kids and they named them Gerald and their nickname was Jerry. But anyway, so go in and find those times. I'd also do the What's Going On in Corpus Christi. It's a 30-minute show with taxpayers. I do dedicate these different flowers. I try to get some real good-looking roses and other flowers around that may be local, and put them on the air and dedicate those to my mother, Miss Connie. She put up with an awful lot with the World War II fighter pilot husband, Korea and Vietnam. And then my deceased wife, who was a real jewel sweetheart, and dedicated those to her and to a current friend, Miss April 23, who we're trying to get through school up North Texas. And she's going to make it in spite of different problems with rental management company. I won't get into that. Okay, maybe when the lawsuit's through, and we'll see what we can do. All right, so that's programming. Then I also, in addition to the pachyderm excrement, I say this is your local, majority of the local politicians that you voted in. As Pinocchio symbolizes those people. It's a Disney character. There's Jiminy Cricket giving him fits there for lying, and his nose keeps growing. And this, I think, exemplifies what we've got around here with a vast majority of elected officials. Not all of them. Then I've noticed that since we've tried to get the city of Corpus Christi utility services and stuff back in line, I've noticed that here I get another bill. This is due 8/5/2019. I used to have $180, $200 water bills, and I'd have $12 worth of regular water to the house, and it's a whopping $12.70 on this bill. Wastewater is $32. Well, what they used to do is give me a $12 water bill, and then they'd charge me well over $100 for wastewater. Okay, and then we had streets and maintenance and garbage and everything else under the sun. So at least we've had a little bit of break in that, or at least I have, and it just killed me that we've got people that have outstanding bills for $5,000 a month living over there in the west side area, Hillcrest and that area, and they got messed around. And then here's an article that came out earlier this month that says $6.27 million owed to city for utility services. And I wonder how many of these people got royally messed over with all these high bills. You know, I mean, when you get a $2,000 to $5,000 water bill, and you're living in a two bedroom, 1-bath house over there on the west side somewhere, Solomon Coles, Hillcrest, in that area, folks, something's bad wrong. And the city. There are some people down there that sympathize and empathize with the taxpayers, but not very many. You know, this is a very crass system around here, and they like to play gotcha, and I don't play gotcha. So, I'm glad that my bill's down. So if any of you fine folks out there are still having problems, you've got my email address. It's gsansing@gmail.com. And I am the president of the Taxpayers Association. Our taxpayers meetings It's board meetings, but anyone's welcome to come in on those. It's the first Saturday of every month, unless it's published otherwise. August the 3rd is going to be our next one. This will be aired before that. So if you want to go over to the Small Planet Delicatessen at the corner of Staples and Saratoga, then you're welcome to come over there and voice your opinion. Our group is doing a lot to try to straighten these elected officials out in these taxing entities. Then I'd just like to say I haven't heard a word nationally about former mayoral candidate looks to presidency. This is Miguel Madrigal. His name is Ray Madrigal de Pancho Villa. He picked up the de Pancho Villa for whatever reason, I don't know, but I haven't seen any national ads, but he wants to run for president, and I guess he's filed for that. So if you hear anything about that, please let me know. I'm very interested in that, because I'm sick and tired of listening to all these people that are vying for the presidential election on both sides of the aisle. The bunch of talking heads, blathering idiots, and so forth and so on, as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sick and tired of the label racist because your skin's a certain color or you're a certain gender or whatever. That's not what my forefathers fought for since the 1700s. And, I had forefathers at Lexington, Concord, and down in the Virginia and Carolinas shooting redcoats to do this. And to my knowledge, I don't know of one of them that ever owned a slave. But since I'm of a certain gender and so forth and so on, I guess I'm a racist too. It's gotten out of hand, folks. So step up and say something about it. Write the president, write the Congress people, write the senators, and everybody in between, and tell them to stop all this. It's just like the first grade. When they go out on the playground in the first grade, and they nah, my daddy can beat up your daddy, and so forth and so on, and you're a so-and-so, and you're thus and so. It's gotten out of hand, folks. So please help me out, and let's just get together and get this country back where we need to have it, and not just gee-haw everybody and act like a bunch of preschoolers on the playground. Hunter, don't go to sleep on the TWIA rate hikes. I had insurance with Allstate. I've had problems with them since, I imagine that was 1960. No, excuse me. That was 1972 with Allstate Insurance wanting to mess me around and not honor the when a gal ran into the front of me with an old Buick. I had the Buick. She ran into me with something. And Allstate screwed me around, and then Allstate has also messed me around. They accused me of ruining a house, molding up a house over here on Ocean Drive when I did a bunch of work with that, and said that I had cooked the house, and they spent $1.4 million trying to prosecute me and the owner of a house on Ocean Drive, and they lost it, folks. Okay, and then recently they said that my roof was bad and my paint job was bad, and so forth and so on. And if they wanted me to go replace the roof, I'd let them pay for that. But I'm not going to pay increased premiums for that. So all I can say is, Allstate is the pits. That's my personal opinion. Okay. But Hunter said don't go to sleep with the Texas Windstorm Insurance Agency and so forth and so on. And please don't, folks. Let's keep an eye on these scam artists and so forth and so on. They're going to try to mess you around big time. So if you've got insurance and you paid for it, then they need to cough it up. Another thing that galls me around here is I spent 7 years of my life and a whole bunch of personal money trying to avoid having the Las Brisas Energy Center built over here in downtown Corpus Christi, essentially, and killing, as the American Pediatrics Association, when they looked at the official pollution that they were going to put out by their own permit application, at least 80 kids a year, infants, and then a bunch of cardiac patients and everybody in between, then I was very happy that I could associate myself with that as the chair of the Clean Economy Coalition and shut that process down. Okay. Now, I've also, at the time, was very much opposed to M&G Plastics. They went broke. They went over there and did a lot of damage on the ship channel in the harbor over there. And then what they were going to do is make little plastic pellets, and then they wanted a big desal plant so that they could take water right out of the ship channel and go ahead and enter harbor, heat it up, desal, dump the brine in there in the hot water, and kill everything off from there all the way down through Corpus Christi Bay, all the way out through Port Aransas jetties. Okay, wonderful people. And then now we have this plastic plant going up over across the bay here, across the bridge in Portland area. But it says, court rules against Formosa Plastics. Judge says company has violated Clean Water Act. And here's a lady that's by the name, I won't name her. She's got these little nurdles, they're called. Okay, little pieces of plastic pellets that these companies produce, and then they send them off to bottle makers and plastic item makers and so forth and so on, and they pollute the whole world. Okay, and they're all over the place. This is the one out of Port Lavaca area. Okay, and they're filtering down through our stuff. Okay, and then it says here that the plant project gets the green light. Okay, Austin, construction of a San Patricio County plastics manufacturing plant that would bring 600 permanent jobs and up to 6,000 more in construction could begin within weeks after state regulators approved the project Wednesday. Okay, now who's making money with this? Who's going to pay for it? Do we want all these plastic nurdles from here having judges saying, hey, you've screwed it over? Well, it's too late, folks. By the time it goes to court, you've already been polluted. And, why you sit on your rumps out there and won't get involved with this, I don't know. Okay? And this is the Exxon Mobil. They've got plenty of money. Now, if you haven't learned that these government entities around here, elected officials that are making money hand over fist at your expense, and I'm getting ready to try to prove that, then when you take a look at these folks, okay, they don't give a damn about you. They've got enough money where they can move to Austin in $1 million condo there on the lake. They don't have to live here in all this trash that they create after they've made a whole bunch of money with these contractors and architects and engineers and whoever else, these large international companies. And then what they do is they come in and these high rollers around here that are making a bunch of money at your expense will go ahead and give tax abatements and so forth. And then once the plant, like two of these oil companies out here, they've got millions and billions of dollars. They say, well, you're overtaxing me, so what I'm going to do is sue you. And then the city, county, state, and so forth doesn't have enough money to fight it. Are you going to wake up out there? Just wake up. Plant project gets the green light. So this is the one that's the Exxon Mobil. Over there, we don't want your pollution. There's a group of people from Portland, I guess they were over here, and they're protesting that. It's just like we had a whole gang. I guess there must have been in the beginning 200 or 300 people with Clean Economy Coalition, and if you scream loud enough, long enough, and make it painful enough, you can shut these things down. So what you need to do is get up off your rumps there, taxpayers. You're going to be screwed. By the time they give these tax abatements to Exxon Mobil, and then they're going to come back and say, oh, well, you've overtaxed us, and we've got billions of dollars now that we've polluted all of your atmosphere over there and your water and so forth and so on. And we can't fight them. They've got the upper hand. Money talks, and the bovine excrement walks. Okay, now then. I've got a big problem with the wildlife around here that ingests these plastic nurdles. They've been found in turtles, fish, I guess crabs and everything else around here. It's a shame. But I've got a fellow faculty member that fishes around here. He was devastated when I talked to him yesterday. He said that he had seen turtles that were wrapped up in cast nets. He's seen turtles wrapped up in the nylon fishing line and so forth and so on. Birds that have that stuff on there, and they're dying. And I guess the people around here that fish and use cast nets and so forth, they don't give a damn about the wildlife around here. They couldn't care less about some poor turtle just trying to make his way through life. Okay? So as we try to run the human race into oblivion, okay, and extinction, then they're doing a real good job with turtles and fish and other wildlife around here, whales and seals and so forth and so on, of polluting everything just because we have a few of the high rollers around here that want these plants to come in here and do the business, and ultimately the plant doesn't give a damn about how many turtles they kill or how many babies they kill or anything else. Okay, humans. All right, but here it is that 6 turtles discarded in a cast net found dead. Okay, and this happened just recently. So, if we've got despicable people that'll go out there and use a cast net to try to catch bait or whatever, and they've got 6 little turtles, and then they just go ahead and can't get them, don't want to work with them and get them out of a cast net, and just throw the damn thing down somewhere or back in the water and drown the turtles. I mean, that's a crime, folks. What's the difference between killing a human baby and a baby turtle? As far as I'm concerned, as a biologist, folks, there's not a hell of a lot of difference. Okay? So, raise hell with this. Let's just don't be the pollution place for the whole universe around here. And then here's another one. This whole city desalinization plans could soon be clearer. This came back out in June. They keep bouncing this around. We want this big desal plant. And as a PhD chemist, folks, I can tell you that that's a very polluting enterprise. What you do is you take salt water in from the bay or whatever, and then you steam it up and you distill it over, essentially, is what you're doing. And you're going to take the fresh water out after you cool it and condense it. And then where does all that salt and brine and all the garbage that's in that water go? And where's the heat? They're going to throw hot water, hot briny water back into the ship channel out here. That's what they want to do, back into the harbor. It's insanity. And who's making money with that? Whoever is a contractor that builds the plant, and whoever sells the land to do it, and whoever is the elected official in charge that's getting the kickbacks on that stuff. They're the people making the money, and they're the ones that can afford to live elsewhere and out of Corpus Christi area, like in Austin in a $1 million condo. All right, cities worry about new laws that impact our budgets. I am furious about this. When the city starts squawking, and my legislators for a change in Austin, Texas, decided to go ahead and say, look, you can't overtax your citizens of different cities. So what we're going to do is, rather than an 8% increase for a vote in taxing rates, then it's going to be 3.5%. Now, they did not include the independent school districts. Unfortunately, they did not include the community colleges around here. But here's what happens. If the local gentry, these elected officials that are skinning you back, sideways, upside down and backwards, when they go, if they try to exceed a 3.5% increase on your increasing your taxes in a year, then they have to go in for a public vote, and it has to be a 2/3 majority of you voters out there to approve that. Okay. It hasn't been that way before. And I can't believe that you people have consistently voted for bonds for exorbitant amounts of money. I don't think you know what you're getting into for the sake of education. And, my employer, Del Mar College, does not do anything to maintain the buildings that we've got. Okay? It is defrayed and deferred maintenance big time. And they keep upping your tax rate, and then they go ahead and get you for a $157 million bond, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, for buildings we do not need. Then they go out and spend almost $7 million on a 98-acre tract at Broadfield and Yorktown. It's swampland, okay, proven swampland. And they're going to build another big campus out there with a $139 million down payment. And then they said there'd be 2 more phases for about that much money. Okay, you're looking at almost $500 million. Now I get it from someone that really knows the whole system. It may be 5 more bonds that they have to go for in order to complete that mess. But what do we do if we get it started and mess that property up out there, and then we can't finish it off? We can't maintain what we've got at Del Mar College. And it really burns me up because it's my building involved and a bunch of the buildings over there that I know very well. And then I'm going to go ahead and enlighten you about the construction over there isn't going to be complete before classes start. And then Glenn A. Pugh, and on January the 6th, 1998, Glenn was a Corpus Christi attorney, and he was down on people. He kept a good eye on taxpayers' money. He was a member of the Taxpayers Association, actually. And then it says the cherry picking of Del Mar, meaning Del Mar College. And this goes all the way back when one of the Board of Regents members back there was trying to get the city to control the amount of electricity and so forth and the prices over there, and just mess us around as taxpayers. And bless you, Glenn, you did a lot of good to bring it to everybody's attention, but a lot of people in this town, one of the biggest flaws that I've found is they don't pay attention. Nobody wants the truth, okay? I'm trying to tell you the truth, and I'm considered to be absolute poison over there at Del Mar College, and now that I'm with the Taxpayers Association, with the city and the county and the state and everybody else, I've threatened at times to quit taking a bath so the blind can hate me too. Think about that one. Now, we have had a person of great knowledge, a man with a degree in bachelor's degree in business administration, master's degree in accountancy, which is a higher degree than an MBA, certified public accountant, certified fraud examiner, and so forth, has gone through and compared Del Mar College to 7 other community colleges in the state of Texas. Okay? Fall enrollment. Okay? That's this fall. Okay? Now, if I take a look at this, Del Mar College says that they are bursting at the seams. We spent $159 million to build buildings on East and West Campus at Del Mar College that we do not need. Okay, we can't justify that because the enrollment, as far as I can tell, and I've had statistics at a graduate school level, okay, because of my research efforts, I had to be able to look at numbers and decide what they meant, and then publish papers and refereed scientific journals. I've done that frequently during my life until I retired and came to teach at Del Mar College. Okay, so I know what's going on. So statistically, Del Mar College has not had an increase in enrollment since 1992. Okay? All right, in fact, I think we're down if we take this boondoggle of saying that we're going to use the fall enrollment with the dual credit students who only pay 1/3 of the tuition, yet other people do, and throw them into the fall enrollment. Okay, so we're actually down since 1992 if you want to take a realistic approach to it. Okay, now, so what we've got is a fall enrollment. Here it's hard to tell on the graph. I'd say about 12.5, which is more than I think we do have. Okay, our enrollment was down this summer, and nobody wanted to do that. Although we didn't have another hurricane, we couldn't blame it on that. So I guess it must be, the snails ate my tires off my car or whatever. So we can't. They couldn't get to class, so we had a flat enrollment again. So they blame it on everything over there at Del Mar College. All right. Now, then we have contact hours based on the year 2019. We've got just under 5 million contact hours. Okay. Now, I'm not sure I understand exactly what that means, but they're counting the dual credit students in that total number. Dual credit students, the vast majority, do not go to campus and take up space in the classrooms over there. So, what difference does that make? I mean, this is just stretching the truth again on contact hours. Okay. Now, total bond debt. This is the one I really want you to pay attention to. Okay. Now, our bond debt as of today it looks like about $270 million. The next one that comes in line is just over $100 million, which is Tyler Community College. And then we've got Amarillo that comes in at just about $60 million. Okay. And then we've got, let's see, Blinn comes in, and they're just a little bit higher than the Amarillo. And then we've got Central Texas, and then we've got one over here that's Laredo, and they're high as the dickens. Okay. Well, Central Texas doesn't have any. Okay. They don't have any bond debt. We need to go over there and figure it out. Then we've got Laredo is over 200 million, and there's a connection there that I know people don't want me to make, but the administration at Del Mar College, the head of the administration, is a PhD from University of Texas in Community College Administration, and I understand that since we're the highest by far, then the guy that runs Laredo down there came out of that same program. So if you want to take a look at this, here's Del Mar way up here in the green, and here's Laredo way up here. So I don't know what it takes, to be a community college administrator and have numbers that high. Okay? I'm not an administrator. All right, now, I mean, that was, look, folks, I mean, we're talking about your total bond debt. And if we go ahead and add another $500 million or so for Southside campus over here, then we're going to be bumping, we're going to be bumping $800 million in debt. And who's going to pay that? Taxpayers. And here it is, ad valorem taxes. Okay? We've got $65,112,000 taxpayer support, ad valorem taxes. And then the next one closest to us is again Laredo at $44 million. Okay, and then the rest of them are down. And then we've got Blinn College at what is that? $1,966,000. So I think maybe what we need to do is go up to Blinn and find out what in the world they're doing up there to cut this. But the ad valorem taxes is $65,112,000, and here's the graph. Here's Del Mar College in green, and here's Laredo in brown, and you can see the rest of them, the other 6, are compared to that. I hope I'm not shaking too bad. My nerves aren't that bad these days, okay? Even though the gray hair should indicate I'm sitting here doing this, I think I've been holding up pretty well. And I'm as popular as inflamed hemorrhoids over there at Del Mar when I do things like this. And I'm on the city's butt in addition to that. Pension liability. The only one that outdoes us is Central Texas. Our pension liability, that means for the employees over there, is over $100 million. Right here. It's higher. Let's see. It's higher than 6 of them. It's lower than 1 just by a little bit. Okay. Student to faculty ratios. Okay, we've got a lot of faculty members to students, and I go ahead and blame that on the administration running classes with 4 and 5 students. Okay, now I feel for the students when they can't do that, but we shouldn't be doing things like that. Okay, I know they keep an eye on me. And then I won't get into the shenanigans going on over there where certain professors are privileged up the wazoo. And if they don't like what a department chair says, they go to the dean. And then if the dean that says something they don't like, they go to the vice president and blindside the vice president, and then that person goes ahead and grants whatever that person's asking for, and then, you know, I mean, when I told my department chair and a professor that wanted some equipment, and he's one of the ones that's privileged, okay, to go to hell, I wasn't going to do it. And then I had all this Gestapo unit over there after me on a witch hunt, and they said that I was insubordinate and so forth. Now, I don't know if they ever filed insubordination on people that go around and, you know, they just keep going up the ladder and telling lies about, you know, who does what and when. And, you know, they're the ones that are the privileged ones over there. And I think there's a very, very strong lack of backbone with an awful lot of the administration over there. Full-time student equivalents I won't get into. Full-time, faculty full-time. We've got the highest over here. It looks like Blinn and Central Texas do not have full-time faculty members. I know that was a ploy up there at Coastal Bend College with Beatrice, whatever her name was, and she was going to do away with tenured faculty members full-time because it lessens the amount of money that people have to pay. And all I can say is you get what you pay for. Now, since we have all of that construction on East Campus, and it's called the General Academic and Music Building Phase 2 project, here's what we understand. Now, the class schedules are set prior to the summer, usually in the spring semester for the fall, which is our big time for student enrollment. Okay? So they have listed course after course after course after course, section after section, and then they tell you who the professor is, or it may just be staff if they didn't pick a full-timer. Okay? And then what they do is they tell you what the time of that class is going to be, and in what location, what classroom. So we have the entire fall schedule that's already been published, and many of those classes, particularly in social sciences and English and so forth and so on, non-science classes, are going to be in this General Academic and Music Building. That's where they were said to be, they're going to be held. Then on the 17th, okay, 4 days ago it looks like, if I can tell this right. No, actually this came out on the 16th, okay, from the college president. Del Mar College is excited about the new facilities nearing completion on our east and west campuses. As with any major capital improvement project, there are often unforeseen circumstances and schedule changes. In this regard, adjustments in construction require that we move back the occupancy date for the General Academic and Music Building Phase 2 project. Consequently, we are no longer planning to hold classes in the GAMB Phase 2 building this fall, or in fall of 2019. It's off, okay? Oh, by the way, we've got our mayor and his moving company that was supposed to have all the furniture and stuff to move over there. So he's got a contract with Del Mar College through his company to move furniture for Del Mar College. Oh, Mr. McComb, you give me a headache. All right. Instead, we will plan to begin classes in that building starting in the spring. So here we've got an entire 4-month plus that we're going to be over there messing around because we couldn't make it. And then I'm going to talk about the guy that's in charge, okay, our former Del Mar College Board of Regents president who got us into this mess, okay. And he's working for the company that's supposed to be putting on and keeping an eye on all the construction that's going on, much to my dismay, okay? And where was he when he should be pushing all these contractors to get the damn building finished? Instead, instead we will plan to begin classes in that building starting in the spring. This will allow us to focus on student safety and keep confusion to a minimum. It's going to be total confusion, folks. They did that over there on West Campus. a couple of years ago, and it was total chaos over there. And we don't need to be putting our citizens through, our students who are community members. Okay, classes previously scheduled to be held in the GAMB Phase 2 are now being rescheduled for alternate locations. The Del Mar College administration will work with any affected academic departments to provide resources and information to ensure these changes proceed smoothly and efficiently. Folks, it's going to be total chaos. I can tell you right now. I've seen it happen. And I've seen students throw their hands up and just go home or go back to their jobs and say, you know, to hell with Del Mar College. They can't get things right. And when you go over there, they say, a lot of my students say, when we go over there to ask somebody in the administration if we can do this, that, and the other, we walk up to that little window with a hole in it, and they say, what the hell do you want? No, you can't do that. Okay? So I'm just waiting for another. And we're supposed to be student friendly? I don't think so. Overtime and adjustments to vacations will be approved for staff and faculty affected by rescheduling. Overtime. Yeah, right. Yeah. Okay, departments are encouraged to cooperate and assist one another as much as possible during this transitional period. In other words, they're going to be scouting around trying to find an empty classroom here and there, and no matter what building or what it does to upset a different department, and they don't care. They don't give a tinker's damn. The College Relations Office is working with enrollment services to communicate with students about these changes through as many methods as possible: email, text messaging, social media, etc. Bovine excrement. While portions of GAMB Phase 2 may be complete by the fall semester, we are determined to avoid any unsafe conditions and eliminate any undue stress on our students and faculty. Well, they never did worry about incompetent people in preparing stuff over there in science labs and then having somebody walk around high on wine and so forth. I'll get into that later. Okay, that's it's going to hell. They don't care about the safety of students. There's only one guy, or there are a group of people that do, and that's the safety office. And then the administration doesn't give a damn, from the department chairs up. On behalf of Del Mar College administration, thank you for your patience, flexibility, and cooperation. Further updates on this matter will be shared as they develop. And this was sent out to the administrative update. See, we used to have a system where we could communicate with one another as faculty members and so forth, and it was called DMC All, and then we had TFAC, it was called, if you wanted to send messages to your fellow faculty members. Those have been eliminated from the email system at Del Mar College because they do not want any communication, faculty member to faculty member, to discuss administrative screw-ups. All right, next topic. Okay. Now, I showed you that Del Mar Works sign. That was for the 2016 bonds. Okay. Now, here is the monetary political contributions to that. Okay. We have Turner Ramirez Associates by Mr. Kyle Miller for $5,000 to put those things out so that you find people would be encouraged to vote for the bonds. Then we have $5,000 to AGCM. That is a coordination. What they do is they coordinate the construction of buildings. Okay, and the guy's name, the contact name, is Durwood Anderson. Okay. Then we had that was $5,000, and then we've got McCall, Parkhurst, and Horton. I don't know what they are. They're counsel. I guess they're attorneys. That was $1,000, and then we've got $2,500 from Fulton. That's Fulton Construction, and that's Philip Skorbarczyk, who now owns that. Then we've got $2,500 from Gensler, which is Alan Collier. Precision Task Group, $2,500. Urban Engineering, that's Chuck Urban. Okay. He's a known entity around town. Rock Engineering and Testing, Curtis Rock, $2,500. And then we have KMC Architects, Bill Wilson, for $4,000. Richter Architects, $5,000. That's David and Elizabeth Richter. And then it goes down from there. And let's see, we've got Linebarger, Goggin, Blair, and Sampson, Paul Chapa. That's $2,500. They're the ones that go and pressure you for taxes if you're a little devoid. Tax collectors for Del Mar and the city and so forth. Okay. Now what I did was I asked through Public Information Act request to see who voted for two of these entities. Okay, I'm most interested at the time with AGCM with Mr. Anderson, and I also WKMC Architects with Mr. Bill Wilson. Okay, so I did this, and what they did is they voted on those people to approve their participation and their contracts on the May 12th, 2015 board meeting. Okay, so here's what we've got. We had a CFO, Chief Financial Officer, by the name of Lee Sloan at the time, and he did not have the qualifications. He had I think not a PhD, but an EDD in agricultural teaching or something from Clemson University. And he was pushing this, okay? So it says, Dr. Sloan listed the members of the evaluation committee in accordance with Texas Department or Government Code thus and thus and thus and so. Okay, the evaluation committee's unanimous recommendation for coordinating architect consultant services is WKMC Architects. $4,000 for Del Mar Works. Okay, and that came out a lot later than this. This is in 2015, so this has been in the system for a long time. Now, Mr. Trey McCampbell was the chair or president of the Board of Regents at this time. He's well connected all over the city. As I said, he's the one that condoned the tearing down of the Coliseum and went for that $44 million for the Destination Bayfront. And he's been perturbed with me since I've tried to shut that down with all the political signs that I personally paid for and stuck them up all over town. And he does not have his shade down there, courtesy of his rich buddies, architects, engineers, and construction people. And it's a mess down there still. But they're putting up, the city spending money after they tore down that magnificent building down there. It could have been just a single, the roof was freestanding, folks. I'll get into that later. Okay, and then I still have the asbestos samples when that company went down there and started tearing the roof off. And 5 of us tried to halt that, and now, they're trying to go for me for $30,000-$60,000 as friends of the Coliseum after many years for halting that process, even though the city contract with the demolition company says if a judge gives you a 30-day reprieve in that or stay, then nobody has any damages. So that's just this city and this moron we've got down there, Miles Risley, for a city attorney. And that was Carlos Valdez. He's a very vindictive person. He's a judge, by the way, now. One of our district judges, unfortunately. And I'm just going to put it out here. Sue me, I don't give a damn. Okay, but on May the 12th, 2015, everybody on the board at the time voted for that because Mr. McCampbell had kind of pushed it that way, so did Dr. Sloan. But it says that McCampbell abstained. Okay? He's smart enough to know not to get his butt in a crack. Okay? But that was WKMC Architects. And now they're making, hundreds of thousands of dollars in checks every month to those clowns. Okay? And clownettes. Then we had reported that the college issued an RFP for the construction manager services. Okay, now this is the one that really sticks in my craw. Dr. Sloan listed the members of the evaluation committee. In accordance with the Texas Government Code 2254, the evaluation committee was charged with selecting the most highly qualified respondent based on demonstrated competence and qualifications. The evaluation committee's recommended Construction Management Consultant Services is AGCM Incorporated. Everybody voted for that on May the 12th, 2015, except Mr. McCampbell abstained. Now, it has been demonstrated since then by me and several other people that I think at the time and subsequently up until today, Mr. Trey McCampbell is a employee or a consultant making money from AGCM as they get 7% of the construction down here. Now, if that company was so good, then why don't we have the construction finished? And I've heard through the grapevine, and I'm just going to pursue this for all you fine folks out there, that these construction companies are incorporating the absolute cheapest materials that go into building those massive buildings that we don't need on the East Campus of Del Mar College. And I had a report that one of our workers walked into the West Campus building and looked up at the ceiling, and there was light coming through where the wall met the ceiling. What can I say? You're being duped, folks. Okay? And somebody out of this group owns about $1 million condominium up in Austin, I have been told. I will confirm that for you. That is hearsay at this stage of the game. I pulled all of the AGCM contracts. They're miserable. Okay? Why couldn't they finish that? So then we've got Mr. McCampbell resigned, and I don't know if that was due to the fact that somebody blew the whistle on him and said, hey, you're employed by that company over there. Why are you over there voting on this and trying to get people to vote for it? I'm going to get to the bottom of it, folks. So if I am shot and so forth, and you've got a whole list of people that you can go and find out who hired the hitman. And then when I've asked for this stuff through Del Mar College, through the Texas Public Information Act, then the college spent money and went and asked for an opinion from the Attorney General, Ken Paxton. They do that all the time. Okay? Anytime I ask for stuff, immediately they're going to go ahead and panic and say, oh my God, what's he up to? And ask for an opinion from the Attorney General's office as to whether I need to get that information through my privilege and under Texas Publication or Public Information Act. I don't know why public information, that's what it is. Okay. And finally, Mr. Paxton wrote back just the other day after I did get all these contracts. You know, I guess they probably figured out that since AGCM did not want to antagonize me any further and protest that with the state, then I got the information. It's right here. Look how thick that is. You see that? Mm-hmm. So thank you, Mr. Paxton. I hope that you'll maintain keeping up the good faith for them. Now, another thing that happened is, if you are on a board of regents, if you're an officer on a taxpayer entity like Del Mar College, then what you must do if you're going to take perks and so forth and so on, I'll just put the perks, you need to fill in a local government officer conflicts disclosure statement. So I've asked for those, okay? And currently, I don't know if they've asked the Attorney General or not for that one. I did ask for a bunch of information several years ago for information concerning certain items. There were 8 Public Information Act requests that went in at one time. The school, Mr. Augustin Rivera, our general counsel, requested an opinion from Ken Paxton, the Attorney General up there. They said give it to him, and then Del Mar College turned around and filed a lawsuit against the Attorney General's office to keep that information under wraps. Then the court said give it to him. Okay? So it's been now up to 4 times that they have gone against and asked for a opinion and you know, protested that with the courts. They've appealed it for the fourth time, and the last time I saw the information, which was obtained by Mr. Jack Gordy, okay, who's my vice president of the Taxpayers Association, of which I'm president, then it was well over $60,000 that Del Mar College has spent in fees and so forth, legal fees, to try to withhold that information from me, and I still haven't got it. So what do you do, folks? When a court says 3 times give it to them, and then they don't do that. Now, another thing that bugs me is, I think one of the worst of the worst elected officials that we've had at the county level and then the city level, and now we've got, I think it's the 148th District Court in the state of Texas, was a guy by the name of Carlos Valdez. He was an attorney, or is an attorney. He was the district attorney down here. Didn't fare well with an awful lot of other attorneys, I take it, okay? And then he went over and he was the city attorney for the Corpus Christi, the city of Corpus Christi. And then he left there, but that's when 5 of us citizens filed a restraining order against the demolition of the Coliseum, Memorial Coliseum. Architecturally significant roof and so forth and so on. So then, after a long time, the suit seemed to go away, okay? And now Mr. Valdez, or Judge Valdez, that just grates me terrifically, okay? The new city attorney that followed him, Mr. Miles Risley, I didn't think that there could be much worse than Mr. Carlos Valdez, but that I've been proven wrong with that, okay? And the 13th Court of Appeals indicated that, you know, probably wasn't out of line, and that the city needs to read their contract that they had with that construction or demolition company. And since the judge at that time gave us a 30-day halt in the demolition so we could possibly save that roof down there, then now they're back at it. Okay. So you taxpayers are going to be paying for that again. So I'm going to fight it. I'm not paying a damn nickel, because Mr. Miles Risley and Mr. Carlos Valdez can't read a contract. They're both licensed attorneys in the state of Texas. So I'm going to ask for that. So when they start this crap, then I do know asbestos when I see it. I've done an awful lot of toxicology in my life with various microbial toxins and pharmaceuticals, mold toxins, bacterial toxins, and so forth and so on, with some of the best toxicology groups in the country. And I do have the asbestos samples, the tape samples that I took on the sidewalks outside of the fence when the construction or demolition company kept going after they should have been shut down. And I've got shingles that were poured out there. So if any of you fine folks out there have come down with mesothelioma and you've been downtown when they were demolishing the Coliseum, then would you please contact me? Okay? It's GSANSING@gmail.com. So keep it up there, Mr. Risley and the city. All I can say is this is not a threat. I don't make threats, okay? And I don't get mad, I get even. So we'll just leave it at that. I know I'm on a roll and a tear. So what I'm going to do is zero in on those beautiful flowers dedicated to me mom, Miss Connie, my deceased wife, Miss Lynn, and my friend, April 23.